Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to talk about some things that I was misled about Palantir and I was wrong about Palantir, and I want to be very transparent in this video, and of course I'm going to take up in the end if I want to sell or keep my shares, or if I want to be adding to my shares after the Q3 earnings, which I did not find as good earnings. So let's begin this video. And as always, if you like this content, please make sure you check out the new and upgraded subscribe button by YouTube. And if you want to go even further and you want to find some exclusive content, please check out the Patreon link in the description box below, where I'm going to be working on exclusive content. You get direct access to me and you get access to all the valuations that we use on this channel, and you get to support me, which I'm very, very thankful for. So go ahead and check out the Patreon link in the description box below. So let's begin the video. Despite the very strong title of this video, not everything is bad about Palantir, but for transparency's sake, we have to go through all the points. To be honest, I was very shaken by Q3 earnings because clearly some things I've gotten wrong about Palantir, and I really had to rethink and reevaluate and go back to basics and see if I even want to keep the stock, because I was so wrong about certain things. So I want to list out what these points are, and I hope maybe you also clear up these points for yourself as a Palantir investor. And it's really important for me to be transparent, or transplant. I don't know. Let's be transplant with you guys. There's this term that Alex Karp uses all the time. Palantir is built for bad times. And I had a complete different idea what he means by this term. And to be honest, this is not really Palantir's fault, or maybe it is, because they never say what this actually means. The idea that I had that it meant is that if a war breaks out, they're going to get more business. If we go into recession, they're going to get more business. And I was very shaken in the Q3 earnings because, you know, when the war broke out in Q1, I was like, okay, in Q2, I understand that in the war broke out in Q1 and clearly they were involved, but the goodies from the war, which obviously I'm not happy for, but the increased business, they're going to show up in Q2. They never showed up in Q2. Then, you know, we were going into a recession in the US, or whatever you want to call it. I think after the midterms, it's going to be called a recession. And probably when you watch this, it's after the midterms. So let's call it a recession. So the US was going into a recession. And I was thinking, okay, now companies are going to reach out to Palantir. And it didn't come in the Q3 earnings. So I had to come to the understanding that Palantir, built for bad times, basically means that they have no debt. They have a very good balance sheet. They have an extremely sticky product. So while other companies like Carvana, which is very high leveraged, has a lot of loans, and basically they're going to maybe even go bankrupt because of the Fed raising interest rates, none of this will happen to Palantir. They will easily, without a question, weather the storm. And this is a lot less sexier than I thought in my head, but unfortunately, I have to come to terms with that this is what they mean. So the next really big misunderstanding that I had is that Ukraine was going to lead to a lot of new business for Palantir. To be honest, I don't like the fact that I'm investing in a defense company, and I hate to profit off of war. The sad thing is that somebody has to do this job, like somebody has to defend a country when it's being attacked. It is AI, and they have very, very nice principles that they follow, which I actually agree with, and I want the West to be stronger. So this is the only reason why I support this. But in any case, I had the idea that because of Ukraine, they were going to get a lot of business. And this was compounded by the fact that in Q1, the margins started to sink. And in Q2, the margins were really, really low, and they were guiding for even lower margin. And they never really explained this. And when analysts asked them, they were saying that, you know, they're working on new business and They're not gonna not service a customer in their biggest need because some paperwork is not done. And I basically started developing this tinfoil hat policy that because also Karp visited the Ukrainian prime minister. They had a meeting. It was a huge press event. That probably they had an agreement between each other that, hey, we really need Palantir. We are going to pay you. Please trust us. Use your balance sheet to deliver free service to Ukraine. And when they get support by the West, then this money is going to be paid for. This was my tinfoil hat theory. And I actually had an interview with Chris Patel. And he gave me a total different viewpoint on it. And I hate how right he was about this and many other things regarding Palantir, and you gotta give credit where it's due. But basically what happened is that Palantir used this opportunity and they used their balance sheet. They used the fact that they have money to go into the battlefield and test out certain products, prove to others that, this program works, that they really give an edge. And their theory was that after countries see what happened in Russia, Ukraine, they are going to get so many new orders from, different countries. And on top of it, they're going to be in the news. And this is going to lead to a lot of new orders. And I believe that this is also maybe part of the reason why they were guiding so high in Q1. And then they forgot to reiterate the guidance in Q2. And now in Q3, they were really not talking about this 30% year-over-year growth. I do believe that this is going to be a net positive for Palantir, meaning that they did get a lot of free publicity. They did get a lot of proof of concept. People know them as a very powerful technology, and maybe they will get a lot of new orders from NATO countries. Probably it's going to happen, but a lot slower than I thought. So this I was really, really wrong about. Then the last thing, again, this is where I had a disagreement with Chris, because I believe that if you are a big company and you want to stay competitive and you want to survive the inflation, you need Palantir to make your company more effective, so that you have less waste, you're more agile, and you can move at the speed of data. And this is why Chris told me that companies are not as agile and as smart as we would like to think. And right now they are in fear mode, and recession is coming, and they are just holding on to money, and they're waiting on doing a lot of investments into the future. And I would never do this in my company. This is also why this pill was so hard for me to swallow, because let's say if you are Hertz, and you know that there is 3-4 other big companies out on the market that you're competing against, and you know that, let's say there is 100,000 cars that everybody collectively is renting out, and there is 100,000 customers. But now we're going into a recession, so there's only going to be 70,000 customers, but collectively there is still 100,000 cars. Then I want to have an edge over my competitors. And I want to use whatever investment or whatever I need to make to survive these times and, expand, gain market share, so that when the good times come back, I'm a market leader. This is how I would think. But clearly, what is being shown in their reports is this is not how companies are thinking. And their commercial growth has slowed to 17%, which is very, very low. And even what makes it worse is that this growth seems to only come from the US. The EU seems to be completely fat and flat. I can't speak today. So this basically tells me that Palantir is, even though I view it as a non-discretionary product, companies clearly think that they can live without Palantir. And this is idiotic. I want to be really clear here that this is companies that don't have Palantir yet, that think like this. Clearly the ones that do have Palantir, they make it their operating system, and I think for them it's very hard to go off of Palantir. I did a marketing course where the guy who was holding the course, he was saying the biggest BS in marketing is that the product sells itself. And he's like, and if you believe this, I challenge you to put whatever product you want in your garage, make your garage full with that product, and come back in a month and see if that product is sold. And I think that this is a little bit what Alex Karp was falling into. He was starting to believe that if he has a good product, then it's going to sell itself. And unfortunately, this is never true. You need marketing, you need word of mouth, you need to do things to sell your product. And in my last video, I was saying that, of course, this is why they did the FoundryCon so fast, and they just announced it, and within 2 days FoundryCon was done, because they see that, oh my god, we are falling in the commercial business, and we need to somehow be relevant, and we need to get attention, we need to sell our product. And no wonder they're changing this. And I was actually corrected by CodeStrap on this, that to pull off such an event you need months, if not years, of planning. And he thought that this event was planned at least 1 year ahead. And he said that we only see these videos, but he was at the event personally, and there was, catering, there was videographers, there was so many things around. And the only reason why it was announced in the last minute is because they didn't want to have protesters outside. So this was a positive surprise to me. So they have been changing their viewpoint about marketing. It just takes time to change. So when I got, these blows, when I was watching this conference call, I was like blow after blow after realization of how wrong I was. I honestly was like, oh my God, is my whole thesis wrong? Do I need to sell Palantir? What do I do now? So I had to go back to basics. And this is the exercise that we as Palantir investors need to do. So I asked myself the question, do the products of Palantir produce real value, and are they needed? So I watched FoundryCon, and I listened to the customers, both government, both commercial, and the results are incredible. And it's crystal clear that they're producing a lot of value. So now the next question, in the next 10, 20 years, is there going to be less AI and machine learning in businesses or not? And is this industry even growing? I cannot see any circumstance where in 10 to 20 years, there's going to be less AI in the businesses. So they are definitely in a growing industry. So is the product as sticky as advertised? So we have the net retention rate, which ended up being 119%. Which is very, very high, meaning even if they would stop any sales, they would be growing at a 19% rate, which is really, really good. Plus, when I look at the gains that customers are getting from Palantir Foundry, I can see why once you start using it, it's like you're hooked, and you really, really don't want to change unless something like 10x better comes along. So I would give a yes on this. So now the next question, is the management of this company is good? And what do we mean by good? It's not if they are able to have an earnings call without banging on the table. There is one YouTuber who makes these videos, and he has so much attention on that Alex Karp is banging the table, and it's almost like this alone makes Palantir a bad company for him. And I just don't care. Let me know in the comments. Do you care if Alex Karp is hitting the table or not? In fact, I'm going to hit the table right now just to annoy this person. So back to this point. Is management able to hire, retain, and motivate talent? Yes, yes, yes. We know that Palantir is working with world-class folks. The people at Palantir are very mission-driven, very motivated. Is this management able to come out with world-class products that really create value? Yes, yes, yes. Foundry, Apollo, all these products that they have been coming out with. And are they able to adapt to certain things that are happening to the world? And, we can see in real time how they're adapting their marketing strategy, and they are a good management. So the question is, are we going to be okay as Palantir shareholders? We have a company that produces products that create real value. We have a management that is able to hire, retain, motivate talent, and come out with, world-class products, and they're able to adapt to different things. The balance sheet gives them an insane amount of wiggle room. Yeah, it's really worth mentioning here how much money they are sitting on. And they are in a very growing industry. So as Palantir shareholders, we are going to be okay. Now, there is one question left, the valuation. So we know that the company is going to be okay, but is the stock overvalued, or what's happening with the stock? So we cannot deny the fact that there is a slowing in growth. So we need to recalculate our tables. My belief is that the growth is going to go back, but I have to be honest with myself and see, can I live with the fact if growth stays at around 20%? So I looked at my Palantir valuation table, and this is the table that you get if you sign up for Patreon. And, you know, we have a couple of key data here, and it's a very automated table. So I changed the revenue increase to 20%. I have some few key assumptions here, and I want to see what happens in 2025, and I want to see what happens in 2030. So if we change revenue increase to 20, the P has to go down. I previously had a 59 P, but we have to go down to 40 P. That would give us a 2 PEG ratio, which is a quite expensive or on the border of being expensive valuation for Palantir. Before this change, I was counting with a 59p. So if they have an operating income here, this is more meant to be a cash flow. So I'm counting on cash flow. So if they have a 25% positive cash flow from their income, they will have $821 million. And if you multiply that by the new P, then you get a market cap of 32 million. They are currently at something like 15. So that's a doubling from here in 2 years. And the question is, I think something is wrong in my assumption here. And yes, because 2022 is almost gone, and this is counting with 4 years to take into account, but we only need to count with 3 years. So I'm going to change this. So basically, according to this table, if they really slow down and keep this growth, they are going to be a $14 stock. They are currently valued at $7. And if you are okay with 3 years of 20% return, then you are okay with a price of 808 or lower. I try to go for a 30+% return. And the reason...
Could you try again?
Shut up, Siri. And the reason for that is I might be wrong. And you see here, I was wrong about a lot of things, and I want to have the margin that even if I'm wrong and I only get 20% or 18%, I would still be a happy investor. So as you can see, the range that Palantir is trading at, I'm still very happy to get as an investor. And I really, really believe in this company, like the management, like the product. Somebody commented that I am married to Palantir, and because I have so many shares of Palantir. And this is kind of true. I thought about that comment. If I was new to the company, I maybe would not be buying at this point. But because I have a lot of shares of the company, because of me having the shares, I've been following management. I've been following all the earnings calls. I've been doing all these interviews on YouTube. I know so much about the company, and I have such a belief in them. And the return that they give me, I'm still very happy with it. And hey, it's not like Palantir is the only company that is falling on the stock market. I mean, go and find a company that is not falling on the stock market, okay? So the point is, I was wrong about a lot of things. I understand why. I changed these things. I readjusted my valuation. Palantir is still a good company, and I will still be adding to my position whenever I get money and if the stock price stays at this level. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out Patreon if you haven't, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.